Hey YouTube, just some information for those of you trying to battle their Range Rover L322 with the ignition lock issues. I just have done a bit of work on it and I wanted to make sure that I pass on my learnings. The first thing is you can get the steering column out just with upper part of the steering column without taking any of the dash off, without taking even underneath off, just by releasing two bolts which bolt in just forward of this big hole here that you can see, and then these two little sort of fasteners hold the upper steering column on just in there. So once you take the steering wheel off, it's not too difficult to get the upper steering column. So this is what the upper steering column looks like, and this part just pops out from inside the car, and then this is the part where the steering wheel goes on. And what you'll find is there's two things I wanted to point out. One, many of you may have tried in vain the same thing I did by drilling this little tiny hole to get some WD-40 or some lubricant into the mechanism. This is what the mechanism looks like when you pull it out, which I'll show you in a second. And it's basically a spring-loaded magnet situation. And this is supposed to make two clicking noises. It's supposed to double click, and mine's not working properly. And the click is not taking, the magnet's not holding. So we'll come back to that in a sec. So when you're drilling this hole, it did not work for me because my magnet, the little magnet which I'm about to show you in this thing, is broken. So I drilled the hole, I made sure that the WD-40 would go down, and what I'm going to do is just take off this top bit to show you how this all works. Now the first key is, what you're trying to do is you are trying to get the WD-40 to go down this hole. Now remember this pin I just showed you, it sits down in this hole and it clicks the magnet. This is the actual immobilizer part, and so that clicks, that little rod down there clicks right down in the hole like that. So when you're drilling a hole through your steering column, here's my can of WD-40, you drill the hole there, what you're looking for is that WD-40 to squirt right down into this hole here. Just turn that light dial so it goes in the hole. The WD-40 goes down in there. It lubricates this whole mechanism here, and make sure that if that's a bit sticky, then that will work. Now what you're actually trying to get done is you're trying to get this little magnet. There's a little magnet there you can see. A bit hard to see, I'm just trying to get it all lined up. Behind that little C-clip there's a magnet, and that little magnet, I believe, is what's broken. Now I've ordered some from the US, they're very cheap, they're only about 30 cents each, and I'm hoping to replace that magnet, which will fix it. So I guess I just want to show you guys a few things that I've learnt. One is I drilled out these holes, there's six sort of grub screws which are really easy to see on both sides, and I ended up drilling a couple of mine out, and then at the last second a couple of the grub screws just came out by themselves. So what you can do is you can just drill in a little bit, and then once it catches, just pull it straight out. You can see the grub screws are not threaded at all. Sorry, I didn't quite have that in the camera. The grub screws are not threaded at all, so you just drill into the side of the grub screw with a really small drill, and then once it catches, just pull it out, pull the drill out, and the grub screws should come out. So about 3 or 4 of my grub screws came out really nicely, and the others I just drilled out to get this cap off. The other important thing to remember is when you are drilling this hole for the WD-40, the pin, it's a very tiny amount you have to drill. I was petrified about going too far, which I ended up doing, going too far. So I guess if I show you, I hold it there, that's the maximum level of depth you need to go through with your drill. So that's, you wouldn't want to go any further, because I went a bit further in and I ended up taking a chunk out. Oops, sorry about the camera work. I ended up taking a chunk out of my little pin here by drilling too far. Now I don't think I've done too much damage, but I'm not sure because the activation still works, but I have made a bit of a hole in the side luckily, and there's looks like a little bit of residue from my drilling. So try and keep sucking out the drill filings when you're drilling. Definitely do not drill too far. And I also drilled twice. Where'd that go, Dal? The first hole I drilled was too far to the front of the steering column, and that's why I drilled the second one. So as you can see, the first one down there, only just made it into the little chamber, and then I went too deep again. And the second one was a bit closer to the back of the steering column as you're looking at it in the car. And when you go down there, it goes in just perfectly into your into where the clicker is. Anyway, so there's the three things I wanted to show you. A, you don't have to pull out the whole steering column, so don't go doing that. B, don't drill too far, and make sure you drill further towards the back of your steering column there, rather than towards the front. Don't drill too far, and then if you do want to go all the way and get this magnet, I'm going to put a couple on eBay in Australia if you're in Oz, so that you can get it a bit quicker than I've gotten mine. They should be pretty cheap. I'll just cover the postage. And I'm going to take this apart, see if I can fix this magnet, and hopefully that will fix the whole deal, because mine didn't even work with the Fuse 18 trick. Mine only works with the, when I pull out the little, which I'll show you quickly before I finish. When you pull out this cable from the steering column ECU, and that's the only way I could get mine to work. Mine doesn't work with the Fuse trick. So there's a couple of them that are a little bit different, but anyway, I hope that helps somebody, because I've just been figuring this all out as I go. Okay, Sam, post comments if you've got any questions. I'll do my best to answer.